60-minute gamer here. Hey, this week I want to look at some football. I've had fun playing football over the years, and being in my 50s, I've seen a lot of football games. I've seen a lot of progressions in the game itself, and I am just awed by the evolution of the programming and the graphics of what we get to see on screen today. Football is remarkable, and you're not going to get the feeling of going to the stadium. I've been in US Bank Stadium and I love it. And this game really replicates everything to a T there, but you're not going to get the feelings. When that Viking horn goes off, you feel that within your body. When the crowd cheers, there is just an energy in the stadium. But this comes really dang close, with everything that you're visually seeing. And visually, what you see on TV when you're watching a game is really close to what you're seeing when you're playing in this video game. This is awesome. I'm telling you, you don't even have to sit through the commercials, the camera angles, the close-ups, the different cameras that they have flying around, the replays that you can do on your own are just flipping awesome. And back in my 20s and 30s, I bought every NFL game that I could get my hands on. I wanted to see which one was the best, which one was more fun to play. It didn't matter if it was on Sega, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo. I was picking up that game to see what was the best one. And a lot of people gravitated to Madden, and Madden is the only thing going right now for football. And Madden has had the exclusive NFL rights since 2004. So for 21 years, they've been the only video game maker of NFL football. And they've done an awesome job bringing us football year after year after year. But having no competition, has that slowed down the evolution of further taking this a little bit higher? Who knows? But what I do know is I don't buy a copy of Madden every year anymore. Hey, how's it going? A few months back, I actually picked up a copy, complete inbox, and I mean complete, everything's in there, posters, everything, of Madden for the 3DO. And 3DO was a new video game console that came out in 1994, and it was really expensive. People couldn't afford to buy it, and it was made by the founder of EA, Trip Hawkins. He was one of the first 25 employees at Apple. He left Apple to go start some different companies on his own, and EA was one of them. I grew up playing EA games on the Commodore 64. I think my favorite one was Larry Bird versus Julius Erving, and I played that a crap ton. So when I saw this back in the counter, I'm a huge football fan when it comes to playing video games. I played a lot with friends, and we were always debating on what the best video game was. And this is around the time that the Sega Genesis was out and the Super Nintendo was out. So we were playing games like NFL 95, Tecmo Bowl, and the Madden games. So I really wanted to see what Tripp's old company was going to offer him with Madden when it came out with the 3DO. And when football came out in the arcade, this was Atari's first try at football, and this is the one that I grew up playing, and it was a cocktail table, and it had X's and O's on it, and you had two trackballs on each side and some volcano buttons which you would pick which play you wanted to play. And this was one of the funnest games that I ever played to this day of football. And it was simple, there was no graphics to it, but you were physically spinning the flipping, trackball to get your players to move downfield, and it was just energetic and fun. Atari's been recently going to these video game conventions, and they bring along these, recharged games in cabinet form. So you have a stand-up asteroids or a stand-up missile command, a cocktail cabinet done with football, with trackballs and recharged would just be so energetic to play. I mean, they ought to put one of these out today. Now, for the Atari 2600 at home, this is what we got. This is the football game that we got at home. You couldn't play one player, you had to play two players. I'm playing on the 2600 Plus right now, and I'm actually there with two joysticks on my lap trying to get some footage to show you guys, but this is the graphics that I grew up on. Now I'm going to skip you ahead to about 1994. That was back in the 70s, and there's been a whole lot of football since then. But I want to show you what we were playing in 1994. Now here is Tecmo Super Bowl on the Sega Genesis, and it was a side-scrolling football game, and it was a little bit different than what we're normally used to playing. But the graphics were so much better, and it was a little bit different than what was on the NES at the time. But we were glad to be playing this, and it was football for us. Come on. And now we're going to do Sega Sports, and this will be NFL 95. You know, the years always come out in 94. So 94 will have 95, 95 will have 96, and so on and so forth. You know how it goes. And the reason I'm showing you this is I want you to see the games that we were playing back in the days. There's people out there right now that are watching this video that weren't even alive back then. And, you know, some of these retro games were awesome, and we put hours and hours and hours into them. But the advancements every year and every console jumped up a little bit more. You know, this looks really archaic for you guys, but for us, this was cutting edge, and we were loving every minute of it. And the only thing that we would complain about is who got the good controller and who got the, you know, crappy third-party controller. Or maybe your controller is better than mine. That button sticks. You give me the crappy controller on purpose. And I got a friend that he was freaking awesome at football games. Any sports games, this guy killed me at. And to this day, I still swear he would let me win every once in a while just so I'd keep coming back to play him a little more. And back in the day, I really loved Sega Sports, and I was leaning that way. But my friend, he swore by John Madden. He swore that Madden was the better of the two games. And now that I'm a little older, I kind of look back at that, and I kind of wonder if I was wrong all this time. And here we go. We'll take a look at Madden 95. And this will be the same year that this 3DO game came out. So we just have a comparison to what the two games, you know, look like, and what those games I showed you previously to this are going to compare to the new 3DO. And this kick meter was way better than what was on NFL 95 for Sega Sports, and I'm going to have to give him that one because I just love this, you know, so much more. It's what I'm used to playing with. And there is a learning curve to getting back into these older games. You know, I'm so much used to the new modern games and how they're set up. And even though there's fewer buttons on my Sega controller, I'm still fumbling around picking my plays and, you know, which one's a select button, which one's the next button. You know, it's just trying to find that memory muscle and getting to remember where the buttons are. Once you get into it, you're like, there they are. Here we go. Now let's look at the 3DO, man. Here is the boot up screen. There was no audio for the 3DO when it came up, but I'm telling you, some of the classic ones that you have out there, you're just going to remember for the rest of your life. If somebody comes up and says, Sega, you know what that is. Now, this looks like it's loading up really quick, but I'm telling you, I edited it down. This was dog slow, man. This was one of the first CD-ROMs that were out there that were playing these 3D games, and it was not fast whatsoever. And the video playback was pretty cool back then. I mean, now you'd look at it in comparison to Madden at the beginning of this video, and it's nothing to compare. But back then, we were like, this is flippin' cool. When the 3DO came out, it was a price tag of $699, which that just shut down a ton of people from getting this. There's no way in 1993, with the job that I worked, that I was going to be able to afford, you know, the games for this thing, let alone the console itself for $699. 2 years later, it went down to $299. And a year following that, it was just gone. And to tell you the truth, I can't remember when I picked mine up. It was either 3 or 4 years ago, and I picked it up for $200, and it had like 3 games with it, and it was complete and had all the paperwork for it, and it had a lot of the games there in the jewels, but it didn't have the big paper cases like I got this Madden in. And the graphics seem to be a lot better, and the presentation of trying to get you immersed in the game with the audio is there. But what's not there is the uniforms. You got no numbers on the uniforms. You got no logos on the helmets. You got no player names. They didn't license this with the Players Association. But what we got is some full motion videos where we got a ref calling the coin toss. And Well, guess you can't have everything.
Okay, here's the opening kickoff. Everyone should be ready.
And it'd be shortly after this we'd be getting into the debate of polygons and whether that was the future of sports gaming when it comes to video games. And you can see now today that that was a fact. With all the polygons came more realistic, gameplay and more realistic movements of the players. But when it comes down to what EA gave 3DO, this was a solid game. The gameplay was there, the playmaking was there. Yeah, the FMV stuff was really cool, but it took forever to load that crap up. And now it's 2025, and I'm literally putting this game in from 1994, and it is painful to wait for those load times. It's just painful. And it wasn't a total waste of money for me. It was only $19.99. I bought this for $20, and it was in great condition. And I gotta step back in time and experience something that I didn't, have back then, and I couldn't afford. And it was pretty awesome. The following year, Sony would come out with a little video game console called the PlayStation, and it kicked butt. And the 3DO was a little console that should have, could have, but never would have. So that's my look at the 3DO Madden. I don't know if you guys ever picked it up or if you have it in your collection now, but I had the opportunity to buy it for $20 and I thought I would share it here online on YouTube with you guys. Hope you're all doing well. Make sure that you like and subscribe if you haven't done it yet. It is really helping grow the channel. We've been having some success with some shorts coming out, and I will be doing a lot of buyer's guides coming up because we're entering the holiday season. Hope you guys are doing well, and remember, game on.